No, I am not pregnant. No, this is not clickbait. I wanted to talk about this term that has come up in my conversations with many women over the past couple of years. It's been on my heart to talk about this, and so we're gonna have a heart-to-heart today. From the depths of my heart, as a sister, as someone who guides women, I wanna talk about this. I wanna make a disclaimer that when I am talking about unexpected pregnancy and the terms we use to describe pregnancies, I am not lumping in women who have conceived a child through rape. The only person who can and has the right to put words to what that experience is like is a woman who has been through that. Rape is horrific and evil and awful, and I am not talking and using this term to describe women who have been through that experience, and I want to make that really clear before I begin. I want to talk about this term in light of sexual relationships that people decide to be a part of. When a woman decides to have sex with a man, whether he's her boyfriend, whether he's a guy that she knows, whether he's her friend, whether he's her husband, whoever that may be. Unexpected pregnancy. As you can imagine, after having been in ministry with women for 12 or 13 years now, I've talked with many women, walked with many women in different seasons who've made different choices, meeting women where they are, wherever they are in their story. If you've been here for any amount of time, you know probably part of my story, any part of my story. I've shared a lot of it here. Part of my story is saving sex for marriage. I did that for many different reasons, which you can find on many different videos on my channel. I think it's a wise choice. I think it is the choice that honors the fact that God made sex to be unitive between a husband and a wife. But I talked to a lot of different women who have chosen differently, meeting women where they are, and I've had so many conversations with women who have been in sexual relationships, and that term comes up a lot, unexpected pregnancy. And every single time I have walked with a woman who has this question, right? What if I become unexpectedly pregnant? I highlight the difference for her between something that's unplanned, you don't plan it, something that's unexpected, you don't expect it, and how we need to come to terms with reality, right? Sharing this sensitive, in these sensitive, beautiful, raw conversations in these raw moments with these women, coming to that word, unexpected, and me sharing in the most honest way. When you are having sex with a man, if it's your boyfriend, a guy, you see at parties or whatever, you should expect that pregnancy is a possibility. In this culture, we think that we have separated through birth control, through condoms, through contraceptives. We think we have separated from the act of sex from the consequences of that, right? The consequences being the creation of a child. We think we have separated those things, and that through all of these contraceptive methods, that it is impossible for one to get pregnant if you are having sex, right? That you should expect that the possibility of pregnancy is absolutely zero when that's not the reality. It is so important, and that's why I want to talk about this, to understand that consequences come from actions, right? And that there is no contraceptive method that is 100% guaranteed to eliminate the consequences of the action of sex, right? And a lot of people say, well, it's 90% or it's 99% or whatever that may be that these women, in my conversations with them that they're using. That 1%, 2%, whatever the data might be, is the reality that it is not 100%, right? For all the people who might say, oh, well, that's fear mongering, you're just stirring up fear in people. We do ourselves a disservice when we call talking about reality fear mongering, right? We have to realize that talking about reality is one thing, stirring up fear needlessly in people is a whole different story. You might have seen it. There's a lot of women who make reels about it now. They were on some contraceptive method, whatever that might be, and they became pregnant anyway. Because there is no guaranteed way to separate the possible consequences from sex with the sex itself. The only way, right, is through the choice to not have sex. And again, that's why I made the disclaimer in the beginning of this video. That's so important, because sometimes it's not a choice whether or not you do that. I'm speaking to the choice. And that's why when I speak to young women, girls, And I get teary-eyed, talking about it, emotional talking about it, because I talk with 12 and 13 and 14-year-old girls who are sexually active, right? In my ministry. I speak at schools, I speak at universities, in middle school groups, and I speak with the girls to the reality of asking the question, in these choices that you're making, are you ready to become a mother? Are you ready to be a mother? 100% of the time, the answer is no. So guiding them to what the reality is, that there are consequences to this choice, and we need to look at those with clear eyes and clear minds and clear hearts and critical thinking, which is very challenging for a 12 or 13 or 14-year-old girl. But you hope that if you are in high school, in college, and beyond, that critical thinking has become a big part of your life. It is so important to understand that term, when I am looking at reality and understanding the consequences of what could happen within that choice, I have to expect that the consequences could happen to me, right? I have to expect that in a sexual relationship, pregnancy could happen, because the 100% guarantee is not there. I don't know where you are in your life, and that's why this is a heart to heart. I don't know where you are. I don't know what season you're in. I do not know what you've been through. I wish you could come over and tell me all about it, and I mean that so sincerely. But when you are making choices, it is so important in all of the things that affect our choices, our emotions, our desire to be loved, our desire to be wanted, our desire to be cared for, a desire for attention, whatever that desire in your heart might be, a desire for connection, that in all of those desires, we look at the consequences of acting on those desires in many different ways. And when you are evaluating the choices that are in front of you, as a woman who gets free will to make choices, you have to look at, what could the consequences of this be? If I go home with this guy from this party and I choose to have sex with him outside of marriage, what might the consequences of that be? I should expect that one of those consequences might be becoming pregnant and becoming a mother, right? Because when you become pregnant, you do become a mother. A child is entrusted to your beautiful care. When we look at what could the consequences of these decisions be, we get more clear thinking to see, okay, if those are the possible consequences of that choice, do I want to make that choice? Is that a choice that I want to make based on the circumstances of my life and all that entails? This goes across the board for every choice in our life. Whatever choice it is, there's a laundry list of 5,000 million. Okay, I know that's not a number. 5,000, a million. There are so many different areas in our lives where we can look at, okay, if I make this choice, what are the possible consequences of that choice going to be? That informs our decision making. And that's why when I am real and honest with these young women to say a possible consequence of you having sex with your boyfriend is, no matter what ways you try to circumvent that, to go around that, to eliminate that possibility, the possibility is that you could become a mother. Are you ready for that? And many people do not want to talk about this. We don't want to talk about reality. We want to just pretend like consequences of actions and choices don't exist. And they do. And I want you, in my heart of hearts, as we share about this, to let that inform your choices. To say, I expect, right, the consequences of my actions could happen. I don't know who's gonna watch this video. I don't know who you are. I don't know what country you live in. I don't know where you're from. I don't know what season of life you're in. But to expect, by any percentage, the natural consequences of an act could happen is embracing reality. Is saying, okay, I understand what the consequences of this could be, and I embrace those consequences. It might not be part of the plan, but I expect that this could happen to me. It is a very important part of embracing reality. I talk about sexuality and the importance of it, the sacredness, the beauty of it in many different videos on my channel that you can find and you can watch. And this is a part of what informed my choices, right? Leading up to saving sex for marriage, letting that be a part of only my marriage in those times where it was challenging and it was difficult. And I could have said, you know what, forget the whole entire thing, to look at, what are the consequences of this and what impact could it have on my life realistically? In a culture that doesn't want to embrace reality, in a culture that wants to circumvent reality and pretend like reality is fantasy, right? To guide you, to love you, to be here for you. And the area of sex and pregnancy and all of these things is a very combative topic in our culture. There are a lot of different reasons why that is. I will go ahead and link a couple of those videos down below with my own testimony and testimonies from many different women in one of the videos to share about that with you as you walk the path of your own season and of your own life. You are so loved. Wish you could come over. We could have our favorite beverage. Until then, keep your heart up. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.